Parangagandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nityalila Pavishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmat Bhaktivedanta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai. Nityalila Pavishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmat Bhaktivedanta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nityalila Pavishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmat Bhaktivedanta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pavishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmat Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nityalila Pavishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmat Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pavishtam Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gaurkishoras Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Nityalila Pavishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityalila Pavishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Śrī Rūpa Gaudiya Guru Varga ki jai. Śrī Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath. Śrī Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dasa Gunath. Nṛhari Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Śrī Swarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Śrī Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vrajamandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shamakund ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Viraha Mahotsav ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Last day of the first month of Chaturmasya ki jai, of Shravan Mas ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava and Baladev Purnima Adivastiti ki jai, the day before Baladev Purnima ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Nṛhari Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. Ishwar Krishna Prabhu and Champak Didi. Dandavat Pranams to you three, and let's see who's on Zoom and YouTube. Sorry, on Facebook and YouTube. Oh, there's nobody there yet. Interesting. Well, I guess it's just us three for now. Alright, so I'm going to sing, actually at the Rupa Gosvāmī conference I'm going to be singing this also, but this song, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a song for each verse, well, the first 8 verses of Upadeshamrita, he wrote a song for each one. And so I'm going to sing that now, and then I'll sing it right after this program also for the Rupa Gosvāmī conference. Actually, maybe before I sing it, let's just... Actually, wait 1 second. Okay, before I sing it, maybe we can just reread this, what we read yesterday. Short. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just read the first part. Let's see. Here. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's instructions on the attainment of Krishna Bhakti Ras, from the introduction to Shri Utkalika Valari by my Śrīla Gurudeva Śrī Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. So my Gurudev said, those who are suffering, desirous of wealth, inquisitive, and searching for knowledge, can worship the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. They can worship the Supreme Lord Bhagavan if they have sufficient spiritual merit, they have sufficient sukriti. But unless they achieve a state of consciousness that is thoroughly saturated with the pure mellows of loving devotion to Krishna, or Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati, they cannot obtain the greed for the happiness that comes with serving Krishna, not even with the accrued sukriti or pious credits of hundreds of millions of lifetimes. So that's a strong point. No amount of sukriti is going to produce greed for Krishna bhakti. Therefore, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhu has shown the method to attain that greed. Okay, so no amount of sukriti is going to make greed. This is the method to get greed. Tanama rupa charitadi sukirtanano smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya tishtan vraje taranuragi jananugami kalam nayed ikilamityupadeshasaram. It's verse 8 of Upadeshamrita. A devotee should remove his tongue and mind from all matters unrelated to Sri Krishna. That's not really what the Sanskrit says, though. It doesn't say anything about remove. It says the devotee should engage his tongue and mind in anyways, whatever. Devotee should remove his... I'm just going to read the translation I said. Devotee should remove his tongue and mind from all matters unrelated to Krishna, and living in Vraj Mandal under the guidance of those persons who have deep, spontaneous love for him, engage his senses full time in remembering and glorifying Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. This is the essence of all advice. So now we'll sing the song that's based on this verse by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I just want to see my translation for this. 1 second. Tan Nama Rupa. Haribo Bhavatarani Mataji. Okay. So this is the translation I made for this. Haribo. So it's... Following the proper sequence established by sadhus and shastra, one should spend all his time engaging the tongue and mind in nicely performing kirtan and smaran of the names, form, qualities, pastimes, and so on of Sri Krishna, while residing in Vraj under the guidance of one with deep affection for him. This is the quintessence of all instruction. So now we'll sing. So this is the way to produce greed. Not any amount of sukriti will do that. Only this. Okay, so the song is Hari He Shri Rupa. Let's do that. Okay, here it is. I'll read the translation now. O Hari, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, in the form of Sri Guru, whispered this advice into my ear. Understand my words, O beggar of Nam, and you will attain rati, affection for chanting the name. Very carefully engage your tongue and mind in Sri Krishna's name, form, attributes, and pastimes, in accordance with the gradual method given in the scriptures. Residing in Vraj as a Raganuga Bhakta, engage in smaran and kirtan of the Lord. Indeed, spend all your time in this way. Accept this as the essence of all instructions. Alas, O Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, when will you mercifully bestow residence in Vraj upon this wretched soul? You are Ragatmika, and the wish of this servant is to follow in your footsteps. Just checking out the... Oh, and Kishore Krishna just gave... This is Srila Prabhupada's translation, right? Yeah. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraj, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to His devotional service. Jai Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so now I'll sing this. 1 second. Hari Bo Indira Mataji, and there's one other person, so pranams to whoever that is. Hari He Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī Śrī Gurudeva Shiksha dila morakane. Hari He Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī Śrī Gurudeva Shiksha dila morakane. Jano mora katha namer kangal, jano mora katha namer kangal, rati pabe nam gane, rati pabe nam gane, rati pabe nam gane. Krishna nama Rupa guna sucharita parama jatane kori. Krishna nama Rupa guna sucharita parama jatane kori. Rasana manase koro niyoga, rasana manase koro niyoga, krama vidhi anusari, krama vidhi anusari. Braje korivas raganuga hoya, smarana kirtana koro. O braje korivas raganuga hoya, smarana kirtana koro. Enikhila kal koro japana, enikhila kal koro japana, upadesha sar dharo, upadesha sar dharo. Enikhila kal koro japana, upadesha sar dharo, upadesha sar dharo. O Rupa Gosvāmī daya kori kove dibe dine vrajavasa. Rupa Gosvāmī daya kori kove dibe dine vrajavasa. Ragatmika tumi tava padanuga, ragatmika tumi tava padanuga, hoite dasera asha, hoite dasera asha. Ragat me kato me tava padanuga, hoite dasera yasha, hoite dasera asha. Hari he Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī, Śrī Gurudeva te shiksha dila Morakane. Hari he Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī, Śrī Gurudeva te shiksha dila Morakane. Jano mora kata na mera kangal, rati pabe nama gane. Jano mora kata na mera kangal, rati pabe nama gane. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu, Rupa Gosvāmī, Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu, Rupa Gosvāmī. Jaya Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu, Rupa Gosvāmī, Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu, Rupa Gosvāmī. Jai Gurudeva, 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 Jaya Gurudeva, Jai Gurudeva, Jai Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Gurudeva. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai, Jai Śrīla Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Jai Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Alright, so now we'll do a little Mangala Charan and then read something from my Gurudev, and I wonder where Nṛhari Prabhu disappeared to. I was hoping that he'd be able to give his glorification. Or if not, Bhavatarani Mataji, his better half. I'm not sure if you would like to make a offering to Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. Anyways, you can let me know in the chat if you like. Okay. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Oops. Where is it? I lost it. 1 second. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakavadato. Actually, no, let's sing we'll finish this. Sankirtanaya Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dijaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro. We'll recite the verse composed by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī that he spoke to Mahaprabhu when he first saw him. Namo. Yes. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī says, I offer pranam to that greatly munificent Lord who bestows Krishna Prem, which is inaccessible to even the demigods. My pranam to you, Krishna himself, but with the name Shri Krishna Chaitanya, and who have assumed a golden hue, being covered with the radiance of Śrī Radha. The words in parentheses was added by my Gurudeva. Now we'll do the pranam mantra to Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Adadhanastrinam Dantai Idam Yache Puna Puna Śrīmad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani. Tavaivasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya devi tvam nayamang charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshaya Shiptascha kamadhitaranga madhye Kripa maitvam sharanam prapana Vrinde namaste charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everybody. So we will now read a class from my Gurudeva on that he spoke in the 1998 on Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, and then afterwards Nṛhari Prabhu will make his offering to Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. So let's go to, let me just find it, sorry I didn't do this before. Let's go to purebhakti.com. Hare Krishna, Raj Bhuvan Yadav ji and I see 3 other people there. Indira Mataji, Raj Bhuvan Yadav, and others. Okay. Oh, and Shubhananda Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So, purebhakti.com, there's so much on Rupa Gosvāmī here. Look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 classes by Gurudeva on Rupa Gosvāmī. So I'm going to read the first one. The Mercy of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. One second, I'm opening it in this reader. For the divine disappearance day of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, and for your own transcendental reading pleasure on this day, and for your sharing with friends, we are happy to present Śrīla Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja's discourse on Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's glories, spoken at Śrī Rūpa Sanatana Gaudiya Matha on August 6, 1998. You can view the video of it there. If you go to purebhakti.com, you can find the video. Sincerely, the Hari Katha team. Okay, one second. I'm just moving my computer back. Oof. There. In Sri Krishna's pastimes, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī is Rupa Manjari, a special maidservant of Srimati Radhika. Rupa Manjari is always serving Srimati Radhika, and she is always on her side. If Krishna orders her to do something, she will not be afraid to disobey, and by disobeying, she'll be so pleasing to Sri Krishna. Among all the maidservants of Radhika, including Rati Manjari, who is Raghunath Das Goswami, and Labanga Manjari, who is Sanatana Goswami, she, Rupa Manjari, is the most prominent. Ananga Manjari, the younger sister of Radhika, is her bosom friend. Because Rupa Manjari is the prominent maidservant of Srimati Radhika and always lives with her, she knows some things that are unknown to even the closest. She knows things that are unknown to even the closest Sakis of Radhika. She knows things that are even more that are unknown to Lalita, Vishaka, and Tungavidya. By her causeless mercy, she came in the form of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, the associate of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All of the associates of Krishna, they act as if they are dumb when it comes to expressing themselves about their own loving exchanges with Krishna. They personally relish Krishna's pastimes, but they cannot tell anything about their experiences. Radhika will also not tell anything about how she meets with Krishna. Sometimes in the early morning, Shamala visits Srimati Radhika and asks, "I want to hear something from you. I want to take bath in hearing your Krishna Katha. I want to hear how you met with Krishna last night." Srimati Radhika replies, "I don't remember. I went there and I saw him, and then I fainted, and I don't know anything about what happened after that." There's Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Samadhi, my Gurudev sitting there. Yeah. If Chandravali asks what happened, Radhika's Sakis tell the opposite of what actually transpired. They will not reveal what incidents actually took place. Whenever they are asked this question, all act as if dumb. Neither Lalita nor Vishaka nor any other Sakis will tell, and even Krishna will not tell what happened. They will relish their pastimes together, but not tell others about them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, "Na prema gandosti darapi me haro, grandami sobhagya baram prakashitum, vangshi vilasyananna lokanam vina, vibrami yat prana patan kakanvrita." That's from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 245. My dear friends, this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking. He says, "My dear friends, I have not the slightest tinge of prema within my heart. When you see me crying in separation, I am just falsely exhibiting a demonstration of my great fortune. Indeed, not seeing the face of Krishna playing his flute, I continue to live my life like an insect without purpose." Mahaprabhu said, "I have not a scent of that prema." In this way, he is also as if dumb. In Srila Rai Ramananda's conversation with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rai Ramananda Samvad, Rai Ramananda, who is Vishaka in Krishna's pastimes, barely told anything. He was simply replying to Mahaprabhu's questions, one after another. In Mahaprabhu's instructions to Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī in the Sanatana Shiksha, what did he tell? He did not say anything about the confidential pastimes of Śrī Śrī Radha Krishna, nor did he reveal how the gopis serve him. What has Mahaprabhu told in his instructions to Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī and Śrī Rūpa Shiksha? He told next to nothing regarding Radha and Krishna's pastimes. And finally, he ordered Rupa Gosvāmī to reveal all of that he himself could not. Even Rupa Manjari cannot tell anything. Only Rupa Gosvāmī can tell. He tells everything. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī is very intelligent and expert. He explains how, in the form of Rupa Manjari, he personally serves Srimati Radhika in Krishna's pastimes. For example, he sees that Srimati Radhika has appointed him in the form of Rupa Manjari. "Oh, my dear Saki, please stand at the door of the kunja and do not allow anyone to come to me, especially that black person, Krishna. He should not come to me. He might come disguised as a girl. His cowherd friend Subal is so expert that he may disguise him as a very enchanting gopi. If that happens, you should know that it is him." Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī is saying, "Srimati Radhika has told me to do this, and I am now standing guard at the door of her kunj. When Krishna comes in the disguise of any girl, I will chastise him because of his misbehavior towards Radhika, and I will not allow him to enter. Will such a day ever come to me that I may perform that service?" Oh yeah, that's, what's the verse? That's from the Gandharva Sampratanashtakam. God, how did my mind go blank like that? Anyways, he tells us what he has seen. In the form of Rupa Manjari, he is serving Krishna and Srimati Radhika. He is obeying the orders of Srimati Radhika and stopping Krishna from entering her kunj. He is seeing how Krishna, being so much pleased, is begging her to be allowed to enter Radhika's kunj, and is placing his head at Rupa Manjari's own lotus feet to attain Rupa Manjari's mercy. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī is very clever. He has written all these prayers as though he has not already experienced the fruit of those prayers. Although he has actually experienced his personal services to Radhika, he is writing prayers as if he has never experienced this for us. What he felt in the form of Rupa Manjari, he has very cleverly shared with us by means of his prayers. Rupa Gosvāmī has personally taken darshan of Radha and Krishna, but for the true, sincere sadhak, he has written this verse in his prayer, Gandharva Prarthanashtakam. Vrindavane viharato vihake vikunje matta dvipa pravarako tuka vibramena sandarshaya svayuvayo vadanaravinda dvandvang videhi Mai Devi Kripang Prasiddha. O Devi Radhike, like the intoxicated king of elephants sporting with his queen elephant, Shri Krishna and you are constantly enjoying your ambrosial amorous pastimes and the lush pleasure groves of Vrindavan. Therefore, O Gandharvike, be pleased with me and mercifully grant me the darshan of your two lotus-like faces. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī is teaching by his own example how a Rupa Nuga Vaishnav prays to Srimati Radhika. Those who want to follow him never pretends to have already attained Ekadasha Bhav. That's the 12 different bhavs of a gopi. The 11 different, what do you call it? I don't know what you call it. Anyways, that's Gopi Bhav or Manjari Bhav. Those who pretend to be already on that platform when they're actually not so, are actually mad. They have no sense at all. We should always pray as Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī prayed. Then, by the mercy of the gopis and by the mercy of Srimati Radhika, we can realize all the truths hidden within Rupa Goswami's prayers. Srimati Radhika will give this realization. She will at once be pleased and give her service. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī teaches us how to pray. Vrindavane viharato riha. Oh, when will that time come? Oh, my dear Srimati Radhika Devi, you are very merciful, so please be merciful to me. Please sprinkle your mercy upon me. When uttering this verse, we should weep. We should not chant this verse as a parrot would chant it. We should be alone, weeping with a melted heart, so that Srimati Radhika's heart may melt. If our heart is not melted at the time of prayer, then the heart of Srimati Radhika, Mahaprabhu, Krishna and Gurudev will not melt for us. If they see that we have so many worldly desires, they will not be merciful. Therefore, we must be one-pointed, thinking only this. I want Srimati Radhika's service. Tavai vasmi, tavai vasmi, tavai vasmi, na jivami tvaya vina, iti vigyaya radhe tvam, nayamam charanantike. O Radha, I cannot live without you, so please be merciful to me. If you are not merciful to me, I can no longer remain alive. I will die at once. And certainly, he must die. Srimati Radhika will not reveal herself to anyone who is not actually feeling like he is dying without her mercy. She will look to see this. She will look to see, is he really feeling that without me he will die at once? Or is he only saying so? There should be a sense of minus, mamata, towards Srimati Radhika. Then, by the mercy of Gurudev, we can attain a little fraction of her mercy. If we desire so many worldly things, then Srimati Radhika, Gurudev, and the Vaishnavas will not hear our prayers. When we only want Radhika's mercy, then they will hear and give their full mercy. In the above-mentioned verse, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī prays to serve Radha and Krishna when they are performing their amorous pastimes in the Keli Kunjas, the pastime forests throughout Vrindavan. That's in Bandirvan, in Nandagaon, in Varshana, and especially at Radha Kund. The word Keli in this verse refers to Sri Radhakrishna's amorous pastimes, and the word Kunja in this connection refers to the secluded groves in which they are absorbed in playing the mad elephants, the Matha Dvipa. They're playing like mad elephants, like Matha Dvipa. Rupa Goswami also prays to serve them when they are roaming throughout Vrindavan. He begs them, "O my dear Srimati Radhika, O my dear Krishna, when will a day come that I will see your lotus feet?" In another verse of this prayer, he begs Radhika, Ha Devika Kubaragar Gadayadya Vacha. O Devi Radhika, I want my heart to melt, but it does not do so because it is full with so many anarthas, so many unhelpful thoughts and habits, especially Hriday Dorvalya, Asat Trishna, Sarup Brahma, and Aparad. We are bound to commit all these offenses, all these aparads, but we cannot give appropriate honor to any Vaishnav, and we cannot follow their orders. Therefore, although Radha and Krishna, Mahaprabhu, and Guru and Vaishnavas want to bestow their mercy upon us, we cannot receive their mercy because we are not qualified. In the verse beginning with Hadevi Kaku Bhara, Rupa Gosvāmī is praying, I am weeping bitterly. I am rolling down on the earth and praying at your lotus feet. Although I am so foolish and full of anarthas, still I am yours. I am not qualified. I have so many undesirable mentalities. That is true. But I know that you alone are mine. O Gandharvika Radhika, I beg you to write my name in the register of your maidservants. I beg you to sometimes remember me, that I am yours, your dear maidservant. If Srimati Radhika hears these prayers uttered from the core of one's heart, her heart will melt, and she will bestow her mercy. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī has skillfully written prayers such as this, filled with the pastimes of Krishna. He is Rupa Manjari, a prominent Nitya Siddha, eternally perfect associate of Radha and Krishna. But in the form of a sadhak, he is explaining to us the pastimes and the process to understand them and enter them, so that we may be helped. This is his mercy. Shame Rama Ramana Sundarata Varishta Sundarya Mohita Samasta Jagajanasya Shyamasya Vama Bhujabhadatanam Kadaham Tvamindira Virala Rupa Bharam Bhajami. O Shame, O Radhika, your master is even more charming than Lord Narayan, and his beauty enchants the entire creation. You are at his left side, embraced by his arm, and your beauty can never be equaled, even by that of Lakshmi Devi. When will I properly worship such beauty? You are so beautiful, even more beautiful than Krishna and Lakshmi and all the Lakshmis of Dwarka. You are more beautiful than Chandravali, Lalita, Vishaka, and all the other gopis. Shri Krishna is more beautiful than Rama Ramana. That's Lord Narayan. And he can charm all incarnations, including Ramachandra and Narayan. Will a day come for me when I will see that very Krishna embracing you as you struggle to free yourself from his embrace? May I be fortunate enough to see this? These are some of the prayers of Rupa Gosvāmī, who is very skillfully teaching us how a true Rupanuga Vaishnava can gradually develop his bhakti, absorb himself in all the pastimes of Krishna, Radha and Krishna, and then enter those pastimes. When all these prayers are offered continually without desiring anything for our body or mind, not desiring even Vaikuntha, only endeavoring for the service of Radhika, this is called Rupanuga Bhajan. We should try to follow Rupa Gosvāmī, just as all our previous acharyas, all of our previous spiritual masters have followed him. All of our acharyas, like Śrīla Raghunath Das Gosvāmī, Jiva Gosvāmī, Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī, Narottama Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, down to Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and his pure followers. All are Rupanuga. One second. Just drinking some more water. We must know the meaning of Rupanuga. Those who have a taste agreed to serve Srimati Radhika, and only Radhika, they are Rupanuga, and they can understand something of the mercy of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, without which one cannot know his glory. We can know something of his glory by the mercy of Raghunath Das Gosvāmī, Jiva Gosvāmī, Narottama Das Thakur, down to Śrīla Prabhupada and our Gurudev. It is incumbent upon us to understand how his mercy is attained and to understand the extent of our debt to him. If we have no taste, no greed for this, we will not be able to understand. We should try to associate with Rasik Vaishnavas who have these elevated moods in relation to Srimati Radhika, and then we can advance in our bhakti. Try to follow Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita. Those who do not read and follow this cannot understand him. Then, after understanding and following the Upadeshamrita, we should read, understand, and follow Manashiksha. Then we can know something about his glory and mercy. Then Ramachandra Prabhu from Delhi, he asks, can we utter prayers like this? Śrīla Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Śrīla Gurudeva. If you have taste and greed, then you can do so. Otherwise, do not touch them. Ramachandra Prabhu. We should not read the pastimes, but in the form of prayers, it's okay? Śrīla Gurudeva. If anyone has taste and greed for this attainment by hearing the truths mentioned herein, and by serving the bona fide Rupanuga Guru and Vaishnavas, that devotee can read and pray. Those who are filled with worldly desires, thinking, oh, the association of a girl and a boy is so good, those people are not qualified for this. For those who are hearing from the books of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī from Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita and from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, if a real greed manifests in their hearts, they are qualified to know all these truths, and they can pray in this way. Even if one will warn them not to do it, still they will do it. Regarding those who are not qualified, even if one insists that they do it, they will not do it. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Jai Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Pada Ki Jai. Regarding those who are not qualified, even if one insists that they do it, they will not do it. However, those who are qualified, who have some greed, they will do it no matter what, even if people warn them from doing it. Alright. So let me just see the time really quick. What time is it? It is 7:49. Nṛhari Prabhu, are you ready to make your glorification, like make your offering now, or would you like me to read a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm ready, or maybe we can read a little bit more. I don't know how long it will take. I haven't timed it, but it's up to you.
Okay, I think maybe you can start now, and you have as much time as you want.
Okay.
There's no rush.
I'll pronounce to all the devotees, Vaishnavis, and friends, all Vaishnavas in this meeting. Okay. Ajnātimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurumilitanyena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavari Paschacha Visatarine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyadmane Śrī Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namine. Nama Shrishtam Manomapi Sachiputram Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Grajam Urupurim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Giri Baramaho Radhika Madhavasam Prabto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Sri Gurum Tannatosmi Radha Sammukta Samsaktin Saki Sanga Nivasinim Tamaham satatam bande guru rupam param sakim. First of all, I like to offer my prostrated pranam and the last pranam at the dust of the lotus feet of my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada, and equally, and offer him Pushpanjali offering, equally to the dust of the lotus feet, at the dust of the lotus feet of my Shiksha Gurudeva, Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, and to my other teachers and instructing gurus, Bhaktivibhava Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Bhaktivigyan Bharati Gosvāmī Mahārāja, to Śrīla Bhakti Balavatirtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja, and beg for their courses mercy. Equally, I like to offer my pranams to all of you Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis at your lotus feet and beg for your mercy. May I do honor to Rupa Gosvāmī in the proper light and able to speak something and glorifying such a exalted personality, unique personality. Everybody knows most of the stories, but I will give you anyhow a little bit a synopsis. And I thought in reading Śrīla Gurudeva and Bhaktivigyan Bharati Maharaj and like that, and yesterday I heard a great dissertation by Srila Achyutalal Bhatta Gosai, and he spoke so wonderfully about how Jiva Goswami, some people who are not qualified, people who are more interested in the external moral appearance of not appearance, but how we socially look if Radha Krishna are not married, that they should be married. And some people are saying that Jiva Goswami is in contradiction to Rupa Goswami, but it's not. So he explained it so well. So then they spoke of the internal reasons or internal moods of Rupa Goswami, which is the most important. Śrīla Gurudeva Bhaktivedanta Nārāyaṇa Mahārāja, many times when he asked us to speak about our Guru Maharaj, he would say, don't just give a historical description of the external attainments of that. Of course, they're extraordinary, but give the tattva and give beyond what they had given, what they came here to give. What's the most important thing they came here to give? So in that way, we know that prayer, of course, about Rupa Goswami, Si Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale, Soyam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam, that he interprets, he knows the innermost, the core of the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what he came to give. So in that sense, I'm indebted forever to Śrīla Gurudeva to expound. Of course, my Guru Maharaj translated Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he, in that, of course, he presents Raganuga Bhakti and actually Rupanuga Bhakti. And then while I was in Vrindavan in 1976, he published the Upadestamrita. And if we see in his mission, he always, first of all, he wrote mostly about Rupa Goswami, translated Rupa Goswami's and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, of whom Gurudev told us one time is probably possibly a manifestation of Rupa Goswami Pad. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur I'm referring to. And so those were very dear to Śrīla Prabhupada, the same as Gurudev. So Gurudev also said, there's no difference, our messages are the same. Although Gurudev put a torchlight and unlocked that treasure house that was Chaitanya Charitamrita, illustrating the innermost feelings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what he came to give. So who is the giver of that? Who is the glorious giver of this treasure but Rupa Gosvāmī Mahārāja? And in Prayag, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu benedicted Sri Rupa Gosvāmī Mahārāja with this understanding, a little bit of understanding of Unatochola Ras. This Unatochola Ras, Priya, sometimes, well, this conjugal love, it's got two aspects, it's Swakiya Bhav and Parakiya Bhav. And there's always been some who have come up and said that only Swakiya Bhav is valid, and they don't want to know. As we know, Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Śrīla Gurudeva Gosvāmī, he clarified all that for the Brahmins in Jaipur. This life of this extraordinary devotee person, this Nityasiddha and Rupa Manjari, he's like you were reading now, Gurudeva was saying, his prayers, he plays sadhaka, but also he reveals how to get to that other stage, that deeper stage, and bring to us the gift that Mahaprabhu came to give, is that we can experience Manjari Bhav. And so his mission was so monumental and so important. Externally, he was born in 1493 AD, in 1415 Shakabda, and disappeared at the age of 73 in 1564. Shakabda, 1486. So 22 years he lived in household life, been born and raised and like that. He was born in Jesore, and I found out that his ancient family was from Karnataka, and some member moved to Bengal, which was one before, was big. Now we have East and West Bengal and like that. But he spent 51 years in Vrindavan. And of course, we call him the Bhakti Rasa Acharya, expert in the mellows of pure devotional service. In reading Prabhupada.
Sorry. I didn't realize he was so young when he went to Vrindavan, huh? He was in his 20s, huh? That's amazing.
Yeah, 22. Wow. He left everything. Amazing. And I don't have how old he was when he heard at Prayag the instructions as the Dashasvameda got by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said, I just give you a little drop of this ocean of prem, of this bhakti ras. Imagine, with that he flooded the entire universe. And his glories are like, in disappearance days, Gurudev used to say, appearance day, well, somebody appears and it's potentially, not everybody knows yet who they are, what the qualities and like that, what they're presenting. But in the disappearance, the remembrance comes of all the depth of their character, what they're presenting, who they really were, and like that. Sri Rupa Sanatana were very, very intelligent, super intelligent. So much so that great administrators, and spoke all the current languages at the time that were in India. Predominantly, they were, of course, Bengali and Sanskrit, Persian, Urdu, Arabic, and like that. I think even Turkish, they spoke. Of course, working for the Shah, the king of Bengal at that time, being a Muslim, all the many of the nations, Muslim nations came into India, Turks and like that, and Arabic people. So they became very wealthy. But, I don't want to repeat yesterday too. I mean, Kishore was talking how they even, but they were always devotees. They were always so elevated. They have made the replica of Vrindavan, Radhakunda, Shyamakunda, Govardhan, and like that. And so then their life was, of course, very God conscious, Krishna conscious, and so. But then their humility, which is natural, and all great Vaishnavas, humility manifest. So they didn't want to be considered like Brahmins, great Brahmins, even though they had been born in such families, because of he said, we're worse than Jagai and Madai. That, somebody wrote something about Srinivas. He said, we're worse than Jagai and Madai because they never did serve a Muslim. They're very sinful, very, very sinful. But us, we served a Muslim, and we had to associate with cow killers and like that. So they always try to remain in the lower position, even though they were so high. Especially Rupa Gosvāmī so high, became the chief of all the 6 Gosvāmis. So in coming, I'll read a little bit of the purport here. Prabhupada is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think. The Goswamis carried out the preaching work of devotional service on the basis of analytical study of all confidential Vedic scriptures. This was in compliance with the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus one can understand the most confidential devotional service of Vrindavan. Oneness with the moods of Srimati Radharani, engaged in the service of fulfilling all her desires, totally devoid of external consciousness. Such a state is called samadhi. So Gurudeva, I was reading that he was saying, be very careful. Do not become offensive. They said, oh, this is where they bury him. This is his samadhi. It will be very offensive because that's the spot where he attained, as playing the sadhaka, he attained oneness with all the moods of Srimati Radhika. As we know, he had been eternally liberated associate, a very intimate associate of Radhika. He's already there, but for our benefit, he also had played this form of sadhaka and instructed us in so many things. Without him, like you were singing all these songs, without him, we wouldn't know anything about bhakti. We wouldn't know anything about the desires of Mahaprabhu. What is the highest form of bhakti? What is pure bhakti? All the stages of prem, all the stages of to come from bhav to surpass, enter prem and surpass it, go all the way up. Of course, we cannot. Mahaprabhu came and gave his three Swabhakti Sriya, Ujjvala, Anatochvala Ras, but he came to experience that, and for us, giving us the access to become manjaris, to serve, following the footsteps of the gopis, especially manjaris, we'll be able to someday, and by the mercy of Sri Guru only, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Radhe, when she's pleased, we'll be able to experience, as I Gurudeva compare, I think it's actually in the writings of the 6 Goswamis, how Krishna is the tree, and Radha is the vine, the leaves are the sakis, and the buds, the manjaris, are the manjaris. And when the sprinkle with Harikatha, a whole line, the breeze of Harikatha by pure Rasik devotee makes the divine tremble, and the manjaris tremble too. So it is said that Rupa sometimes would exhibit, marks on her face, and due to that, she was one with experiencing the emotions that Sri Radhe had experienced the previous night or the previous time. So, in glorifying Rupa Gosvāmī, again, I quote Śrīla Gurudeva says, Ananta Shesh cannot find an end to the pastimes of Sri Krishna. Nityananda cannot tell finished. Ananta Shesh is that in Chaitanya, I think it's Chaitanya Bhagavad actually we read that there is three different ways to call a Brahman, Vipra, Brahman, and like that. And so Nityananda, Balaram, and Ananta Shesh, they're one. So Kavi Karnapur says he feels the satisfaction because he cannot find the end to glorify Rupa Gosvāmī. So if you bear with me, I'm just trying to do something and it's my obligation, my duty to speak. And I love that when Gurudev said, when one has the mercy, and what was it you were just reading? And in his lecture, and one day in this room, actually, we were there, and some devotees came in, and Gurudev had published Gita Govinda. And these devotees came and, Gurudev, we promise never to read this book. So Gurudev said, okay. And they left. But those who were present, Gurudev said, no, you have to read. You should read. So he knew, he knew who is, so Gurudev said, no one is qualified. No one is qualified. But if there is an inkling, there is an inclination, there is a desire has awoken to come to that stage, to be attracted to, this spontaneous Ragamarga, this Rupa, Rupanuga, Bharga, then we should consider ourselves very fortunate. Yeah. One time we were in Venice, and Śrīla Gurudeva, we were walking, morning walk, many devotees, and one devotee came. I believe he might have been my godbrother. I never met him before. And he said, oh, Gurudev, why are you giving such high topics? All of us here, everybody said Kanishta. And Gurudev said, no. He said, no, they have come from so far. They're so attracted to Harikatha that they're Madhyam. So that's a qualification when some eagerness awakens in one heart by hearing this pure devotee, the Rashik devotee, and following their instructions, nourishing, the Bhakti Lata Beach that is rare to obtain, and that when it's given, us would listen to Harikatha, chanting the holy names, following on the footsteps, then one day maybe if our heart melts, we'll be able to melt Gurudev's heart, like you were just reading your list. If Gurudev's heart melts, then Radharani will melt, and she might give us then a sprinkle of her mercy, and our life will be successful. So let me see. And Dashas Mameda God, it's interesting because that's a place of sacrifice. And Lord Chaitanya, obviously, according to Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, and to all the acharyas, that he chose that place. It's a place of sacrifice, but to introduce the supreme sacrifice, the supreme yajna of, and so who was the instrument? The Upalaksha is Rupa Gosvāmī. He's the instrument by which he performs the sacrifice. So, sorry, my cows are moving. I hope it's not interrupting. You can hear? Okay. All right. So, so in his writings, also this is, I'll tell you a little bit here. There is some pastimes that you can say that actually the mission of Rupa Gosvāmī, it was multi-level. Of course, it was to uncover the places and pastimes, and to also bring and uncover those deities that Bhadranava, the grandson of Krishna, with his grandmother Uttara, came to Vrindavan, and it was Vishwakarma who carved those deities, Govindaji and like that, and Madan Mohan, Srimadan Mohan. So they came to Vrindavan. In Vrindavan Institute, there are some writings and there are authentic letters, and how they brought even maps, because being in the court of the great king, the kings would surround themselves with great scholars, and so they brought maps of Vrindavan, and they study them. Also, of course, they have brought scriptures that they took the essence from, like Prabhupada says, to the scriptures that they were confidential, very scriptures, and they took the essence and presented them for future generations and for the devotees then too, of course. So externally, they were very successful, especially Rupa Sanatana and Rupa. So one day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī Pad, was in tremendous separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he sat under the tree meditating and of course crying. And at that moment, this cowherd boy, and Sab said is probably Krishna himself, appeared and said, Baba, Baba, there's this cow. And actually, I'll tell you a little side story, that actually Rupa Gosvāmī, being such a intelligent minister, he was a very good administrator. So he had saved some money, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now, now that I'm spreading all this message, many sadhus are going to come to Vrindavan, and you have to take care of them. And so he brought enough money to purchase 500 cows. And at that time, the emperor of that portion of India, I believe is the father of oh my God, the Emperor Akbar. He heard of course, the way their characters were so pure and transcendental, they were considered saints. And so the grandfather gave all the land of Raja to Rupa Gosvāmī for his cows to pasture. And I'm sure he employed, and for all the villages and villagers, Sanatan, Rupa Sanatan, they were considered babus, their grandsires, and they listened to all, they knew everybody, and they advised them. So I'm sure that they have, among the villagers, some came forward to take care of these cows and pasture them. Imagine 500 cows, that's a lot of cows. And so that's one thing. So one of those cows, and this mysterious cowherd boy comes to interrupt the Vinda. Vinda means meditation too. And the God brothers, he found this, the pastor, he says that, so he said, Baba, this cow empties her bag, entire milk, onto this hill, and it goes down always at noon. So you come see what. And so he had obviously intuition, and all this, and the boy disappears. Coward boy disappears. So he calls all the villagers who adored him anyhow, and they start digging. And you know how long they dug? They dug, how deep they dug? 5 stories down until they found Govindaji. So at that time, imagine how elated he was. And for 2 years, Rupa Gosvāmī, he worshipped Govindaji with nature's dresses of Vrindavan. He had a shelter made for the deity Govindaji, and they had a platform for him, and he would decorate his deity with all the flowers. Imagine, the forest then, they were fully in full regalia. They were still existent. Now we have some of the forests that been decimated, but I can imagine that 500 years ago the forest was magnificent. And so all the dewy camellia, all the vines, all the flowers, everything was there. And he says that he would do mukuts out of tulsi. And I'm sure there were all devotees there coming forth to bring, the craftsmanship to present these nature's dresses, he called them, nature's prakrit dresses, and he was very happy. For 2 years, he went on like that. They said, actually, a god brother recently told me that, when Akbar took over the empire, he heard about the Goswamis. And there is a pastime with Raghunath Das, you probably know about this, Radhakunda, and he was wandering with his army in the forest, and he got to Radhakund. And he was asking Raghunath Das, Baba, where can I give drink to my troops, my animals and all that? Say, here. So the waters didn't exhaust, they became inexhaustible, and so everybody was able to drink like that. So Akbar gave, as the years went by, he gave actually the land all around Radhakund, Shamakund, and all that land to Raghunath Das in title. He left it in title. All this is in the Vrindavan Research Institute. The letters are there. So in going back to 2 years had gone by, and Rupa Gosvāmī had done all this service to Govindaji, and they were very happy together. But one day, Emperor Akbar came to visit, and he said, Baba, I want to build you a bhajan kutir. I said, why? No, I'm fine. And said, even for your deity, something. I said, no, he's happy. So what he said, my godbrother said that Rupa Gosvāmī, he heard this in Vrindavan, and I'm sure it's from some of the great elevated devotees there, that Rupa Gosvāmī then showed him the real Vrindavan. He gave him a little hint, a vision of Vrindavan, and he just fell, he said, oh, okay, so everything is fine. You don't need to do anything. We are satisfied by that. He said, but one thing I want you to do is promise me that you never cut any tree, and you will never hunt in Braja. And so that promise was given. So, and in doing this service, like I said, it took about 2 years. He neglected some of the finding that he had to do of the pastime places, some of his duties probably, and writing and like that. Or maybe he did, I'm sure his sadhana was always extraordinary. So he writes a letter. This letter is at the Institute. And to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who answers him. He's saying, okay, So he said, my Lord, I need help with the worship of Govindaji. This has to be done properly, and I'm not able to. And I'm neglecting my other duties that I promised that I would do. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu writes a letter back. He said, don't worry, I had somebody for you that will come, and it's Kashishwar. And when he tells this to Kashishwar, he faints. He could never think of leaving Mahaprabhu, and he's there in Nilachala, there in Jagannath Puri, and he thought that forever he will be with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and this manifestation. So he faints and he wakes up, and Lord Chaitanya says, don't worry, I'll be right back. And so he said, I'll go into the temple, I'll be right back. So he came back with a little deity of Gaur Govinda. That's Gaur Govindaji. And he said, this is myself. Here I am. You take me. So Kashishwar somehow got pacified, a little more pacified, and he left to actually serve for the rest of his life Govindaji in Vrindavan. So he introduced that worship was pretty much almost like the Jagannath Puri temple worship and South Indian, the stipulations and the way of worship. So it became more.
That Gaur Govinda, the Gaur Govinda deity, is it still present anywhere? The Gaur Govinda deity?
Yes.
Where? Do you know where?
At Jayapur, at the feet to the right. If you look at photographs of Govindaji,
yeah,
to the right of him, there's a small deity, and that's Gaur Govinda.
Oh wow! Wow, yeah. I've never heard that. That's amazing.
Yeah, God brother researched this, and he's been in Jaipur so many times.
Yeah.
So the story goes on. So historically, I could tell you some things. Like he was so successful. Akbar wanted to build, and then later on, Akbar had what they call the Navaratnas. There were 9 principal men in his court. One of them was the topmost general, Man Singh. Man Singh was a Raja, actually, from Rajasthan, a formidable warrior. And he, at that time, there had been a rebellion in Bengal. And so Emperor Akbar sends him to Bengal. But before he leaves, he goes to Govindaji. And at that time, there was a little temple, not so little, but it was a smaller temple than the Govindaji temple we see now. But it was made of stone, and it was actually financed by a merchant. Sorry, I forget now his name, or if it's given. But in modern times, unfortunately, this temple is no longer there because somebody bought the property and the temple and dismantle the temple to build something else with it. So he was severely punished by authority. Actually, he went to jail for this. So that temple, that original temple, stone temple for Govindaji, is no longer there. So later on, Man Singh comes to pray to Govindaji. If you give me victory, I'll come and build you a temple. So he went and talked to Rupa Gosvāmī, who really didn't want to. He said, what are you going to do? Where are you going to put it? In that the Yoga Pito, that hill, that teal that Govindaji temple is. There was a forest, little forest. There were trees there. So Rupa Gosvāmī didn't really want to cut anybody to cut those trees, but somehow or other. So Man Singh goes and he's victorious. He comes back and then he prays, begs to Rupa Gosvāmī to allow him to do that, and finally he does. So, but in the meantime, all this, their name had become so famous, and Govindaji has become so famous. So now all the Rajas, all the Maharajas from all over, especially from Rajasthan, they came and they worship him with great opulence. And so for 75 years, 80 years, Vrindavan was an awesome place. Govindaji Temple was a place where Krishnadas Kaviraj would recite the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which wasn't written yet. And the topmost musicians, the topmost players would come, and there were plays, there were balconies inside. If you look nowadays, you see some of it left. And it was a feat of engineering, actually. In back of the temple, it is written the name of the engineer and who constructed under whose auspice. And so there is a big lotus hanging on the top. If you come inside and look up, there's a huge stone lotus. So that's quite a fit. So that building became externally very famous and like that. So what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get to the point is that externally, they were very successful in establishing these places and making Vrindavan again attain the glory, like Lord Chaitanya said, bring back the glory of Vrindavan. And so it was known to all. So for 75 to 80 years, until the infamous reign of Aurangzeb, who became so envious and so jealous, as we know. Actually, there's a whole story. He had an obsession to try to get and smash and destroy Govindaji. So for 50 years, he wasn't successful. 50 years, he'd look everywhere. He had spies. He had everything. He would follow Govindaji. So Man Singh built this temple, but this temple wasn't finished by the time of disappearance of Rupa Gosvāmī. So I'm sorry to sidetrack, but I was just trying to not totally sidetrack, but to present that yes, our acharyas are great acharyas. They have an external personality that becomes sometimes very powerful, of course, and so they have so many qualities that we might think, we get confused. They're external like that. But what is that they come to give? They follow Rupa Gosvāmī's, and they follow his heart, who is the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So even his writings are not material, even though his writing was so beautiful, Lord Chaitanya exalts it. It tells him, look at this writing, they look like pearls, they look like, it's just so perfect. But, and his poetry, it was so praised by Roy Ramananda, in saying, there was a saying that, a great poet, might pierce your heart, but the super excellent poetry is that pierces your heart, but makes your mind spin, your head spin. And that's achievement of one of the achievements of Rupa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, his writings. So in revealing the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's actually rather is seeing these pastimes. It's not that he's inventing or thinking or imagining. No, this actually are witnessed by him. He's entered them as Rupa Manjari, as we know. So these writings are not something of this material world. It's actually the spiritual world condensed and presented by him. And so I've just barely touched anything. I just wanted to, show a little bit of his external glory, but actually his internal glory, you all know a lot more than me, and verses and songs, as you Madhukar know, and all devotees present, and especially acharyas who had spoken, like Gurudeva and Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, my spiritual master, and like that, and giving really good references and verses by Rupa Gosvāmī himself and other acharyas and contemporaries about the glories of Rupa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. So I want to and I really like this prayer by Raghunath Das Goswami. Adadanas trina dantari ram jache puna puna. Śrīmad Rupa Padamboja Duli Shyam Channa Janmani. Such a famous verse. I like to read you the translation. Clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly beg to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Śrīmad Rūpa Gosvāmī, birth after birth. I like a shadow of that will destroy my teeth. I beg Rupa to sprinkle a little mercy and to attain a little tiny speck of the dust of his lotus feet. If I attain a little speck of the dust of the lotus feet of my Shiksha Gurudeva, Śrīla Gosvāmī, Sri Bhaktivedanta, Nṛhari Gosvāmī Mahārāja, I am my spiritual master. That I know there will be equal to attaining, or that they will take me to the lotus feet of Rupa Gosvāmī and Rupa Manjari. In that way, attain the topmost perfection of my life. Panchakalpataruyascha kripasindhavaya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. I beg to ask you to forgive me if there's any mistakes I've done in my reading or pronunciation, or if I fell short. Of course, I will always fall short. I'll be able to fully glorify Rupa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, Prabhu. And my Dandava pranams to all of you, to all the audience, all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Jai Ho. Oh, that was so beautiful. Such a beautiful blend of Gurudev's Harikatha of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, his glorification of Rupa Gosvāmī and Śrīla Prabhupada, and so many details also I've never heard before. That was like, oh yeah, this beautiful glorification. I'm very grateful. Maybe for different holy tithis throughout the year, maybe we can have, like, you can give more offerings and other devotees also like that on this program. That'd be really nice. That was really. I'm feeling really inspired. That was really nice.
I wrote in the chat that I think it was on Wikipedia, but it was interesting that Rupa Gosvāmī's baby name was Rupa, and so when Lord Chaitanya gave that, Sanatana and Anupam, they were amazed that he chose the name that name. Yes, that name. That's
wow!
I just did that. Yes.
That's really neat. I never heard that. That's really neat.
And it says, like you were reading that he was so beautiful. He was like almost identical to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
And this Maharaj, Bhakti Swarup Siddhar Maharaj, was saying that he was reading, we always translate Rupa as form, but there is more depth to it. And the meaning is that which doesn't need any external cloth or anything to beautify it, but it's just beauty itself. So that's Rupa.
Wow, beautiful. That's why. Oh, sorry.
That's why he was late. That's why he was late. He wasn't putting on tilak. He was speaking to Bhakti Sridhar Maharaj.
Well, he called me right as I was listening to you. And
okay, nice.
He talked to him about some Ayurvedic treatment that
okay. If you look up the word Rupa in the dictionary, that you'll see like two main definitions. One is form and the other is beauty also. Right. So Rupa is, I just you were at the end, you were talking about the writing of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, and it just reminded me of in the Brajmandal Parikrama book at Kadamba, Gurudev wrote about the power of Rupa Gosvāmī's writing. And it's just one small paragraph. I just want to I'd like to read it. Okay, so this is Brajmandal Parikrama book. Okay, so Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī's Bhajan Kutir at Kadamba. Adjacent to Kadamba to the west is the Bhajan Kutir of Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī, He often performed bhajan here at this secluded place, remembering Krishna's sweet pastimes. He also composed many of his treasured books here. Whenever the sentiments of deep separation from Srimati Radhika, who is comprised of Mahabhav, when these sentiments of deep separation manifested in his heart, verses of separation would emanate from his mouth. At that time, all the leaves of the Kadamba tree at Terkadamba, they would dry up in the fire of separation and fall to the ground. And when the meeting of the divine couple manifested in his heart, he recited verses of their meeting, and the Kadamba tree would sprout new leaves. So that was the power of Rupa Goswami's writing. That even all the trees, the Kadamba trees around his bhajan kutir, leaves would fall when he's writing about separation, and they'd sprout new leaves when he'd write about meeting. And there's this one little thing here. I'll just if there's I'll just quickly read. So Gurudev says that once at Terkadamba, Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī came to meet with Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. They began to talk about Krishna's ambrosial pastimes, and they became so absorbed in the narrations about him that they forgot about the time. In the afternoon, when their absorption abated somewhat, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī thought, "It is time to honor prasad, but I have nothing to offer Śrī Sanatana Gosvāmī." This caused him some concern. Just then, a beautiful girl in ordinary dress came there and said to Rupa Gosvāmī, she said, "Baba, my mother has sent rice, milk, and sugar with me. Quickly make some sweet rice and eat." Saying this, the girl left, only to return a short while later. "Baba," she said, "because you are talking, you have no time to cook. I will cook for you." She collected some dry cow dung patties that were nearby and produced a fire simply by her breathing. In little time, she presented Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī with very sweet and fragrant sweet rice and said, "Baba, offer this to Thakurji and quickly take some yourself. I must go, or else my mother will chastise me for being late." And the beautiful girl departed. Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī offered the sweet rice to Krishna and placed it before Sanatana Gosvāmī. Upon eating the sweet rice, transcendental visions, spurtis of Radha and Krishna manifested in the hearts of the two brothers. They began to lament, calling out, "O Radha, O Radha!" Sanatana Gosvāmī said, "I have never tasted such sweet rice. Rupa, did you desire something to eat?" That Kishori was none other than Krishna's dearest Srimati Radhika. In the future, please do not trouble her like this. Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī began to lament, understanding his fault. When he took a little rest, Srimati Radhika appeared in his dream and pacified him with sweet words. Jai Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī ki jai, Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī ki jai.
Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai.
Jai Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai, jai Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. All right, I need to. Oh my God, I'm singing in 5 minutes from now, so I'm gonna just quickly. I'm gonna sing that song that we started with, Hari He Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī. So I'll just do a very quick, short Jaidvani, and then I gotta run downstairs. But yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Though I'm feeling super inspired from that. So, all right. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai, Jai Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Śrīla Param Gurudev ki jai, Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Śrīla Gorksharas Babaji, Jai Śrī Rupa Gaudiya Guru Varga ki jai, Jai Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gan ki jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Abhinna Vrindavan Shri Navadip Dham ki jai, Shri Rupa Gosvāmī ki jai, Rupa Gosvāmī Viraha Mahotsav ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody.
Dandavat.
All right. Dandavat. So, thank you so much, Prabhu. That was wonderful. And I will see you all. We'll all meet together tomorrow for Baladev Purnima. There's also a class I saw on purebhakti.com. It was something that Gurudev spoke on Baladev Purnima. The first half of the class, Gurudev was still speaking about Rupa Gosvāmī. Gurudev couldn't stop speaking about Rupa Gosvāmī, and then he speaks about Baladev Prabhu. So maybe we can read from that. And if anybody has anything special that they want to share about Baladev Prabhu, also, you're totally free to do so. And see you all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you, Prabhu.
I'd like to sing a song about Balaram.
Well, great. Yes, let's. We'll do for sure. Let's do it. All right. Hari Bol.
Hari.